Okay, I'm starting to formulate a plan for patching this area. I've circled the really bad spots as far as super rusty or beat up, and then kind of outlined the whole thing to kind of give me a reference point. One thing that I want to mention is I don't want to go all the way to the edge with this. If I go all the way to the edge with this, I'm gonna paint myself into a corner, because that edge, if you look at the patch panel, is actually a lip, and that lip forms the edge of the toe board, and it welds to this mid-rocker support piece. Now if I wheel around on the side here, let me show you where that is welded to. There are spot welds along in here of where that toe board welds in along the side. Now the spot welds only go down to here, so it's not welded in this area, so I'm okay here. However, it is welded down here, so that the toe board comes in here, and it's spot welded to that subframe mount here, and then it's also welded to the subframe mount over here. There's 3 spot welds along this side. And if you look right here, this is that lip on that toe board that's not welded in here, so that should be loose. Okay, I think I've got it accurately dissected here. You've got the subframe mount support piece that's all this, and then you've got the inner rocker here. Now the toe board, if we look up here, here's that patch panel. It's got this little lip right here. That little lip is right in behind, right in behind this section here, and then this is the floorboard that goes over the top of it, and then inner rocker extends all the way down, and then you've got the pinch weld where the inner rocker, outer rocker, and floor pan weld together. So if I pop these spot welds here and across here and across here, I should be able to get that toe board out of there without too many problems, and then hopefully I can slide the new toe board down into that place without too much hassle. We'll see. Also, while I'm down here, I'm going to go ahead and take out this console mounting bracket. It's got 2 little 1/2-inch nuts just down here. Take those off, get that out of the way, and it'll be one less thing to bother me. Okay, I cut this out a little bit bigger so that I could see what I was doing. I cut across over to here. I removed the toe board area down in here, as well as the floorboard that was attached to the inner rocker. I drilled out these 2 spot welds here. This piece here is about ready to come out. I cut the lip on it, which is down in here. Cut that guy right across there, because remember, it's not attached to that outer cowl shoulder piece. Down in front here, I cut these spot welds here. I didn't have to do this one because I could reach it from the other side. As well around on the side, drilled those spot welds out so that I could release that floorboard, toe board. Over here it was rusted so bad I just cut it right across and cleaned that up. Here's the lip from that toe board piece, and that's the only thing that's really keeping it from coming out of there. I think that if I pull on it, pry on it a little bit, I'll get it right out. Alright, just like that, she comes out of there. Nice. Alright, now that that piece is out of there, I can figure out how much of this that I want to patch in and how far over that I want to go, and then figure out where that lands on this guy and make the patch. I'll probably sandblast in here or clean it up, make it look pretty. Alright, I've marked out where I think I want to cut with the gold line, and I want to come down over here. First thing I want to do is cut that transmission tunnel a little bit so that I've got some room to work in there. Alright, I've about got it cut out of there. It's just hanging on by that little section there. I used the air saw so that I could make a nice line, have something decent, and then maybe I can use this as a template whenever I'm ready to cut the patch piece. Just like that, she's out of there. Now the scary part. Using that to make a template to cut out my patch panel. Got to make sure that I get that in the right spot, because if I cut it too short, the whole thing is pooched, and then I got to figure something else out. We'll see what I do. Okay, I've taken that cutout piece and I laid it in here along the patch panel, and I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and scribe a line and cut it out. All right, I cut out my patch piece here. Where I scribed it, I actually cut above that just a little bit so that I've got some room to work with. Unfortunately, with this bend in it here, it won't fit down in there. So I'm going to have to cut this guy off and then weld it on from the bottom. So I need to make sure that it goes in far enough that the edge of the patch panel isn't trapped in behind this piece here. It needs to hang down below that. So I've got the template with some paper here, and lay that on there like so. Line up the edges, and then I drew a line just where that bend is on this piece, and I should be able to put that down through there and then see where that bend's going to end up, and then maybe find out where I can cut it. Okay, I've got my patch template set in here kind of the way that I think I like it. I've got a little bit of overlap right here, about 1/2 inch. So that means that the replacement panel can be adjusted a little bit to fit in there properly. Take a look on the other side. There we go. You can see where I made my silver line there. And that's where that bend is. So that bend comes just right down to the bottom of this piece. So on my patch panel here, I think if I cut just right below this bend here, right across there, then I should be able to have enough hang down here to weld that new piece onto. Let's give it a shot. All right, hack that little turd off there. Let's see if she fits. All right, got the patch fitting in here. She's looking pretty good. I'll go up here and check the fitment. Yeah, nice and tight along in here. Looks good. Looks good. I had to do a little hammer and dolly work to the transmission tunnel as well as to the patch piece here to get this to fit in real nice. On this side here, I had to cut that lip right off of it because there was no way it was going to fit down in there with that on. Down in the front here, you can see this piece here turned out about the way that I thought it would. I should be able to weld that right back onto there whenever the time comes. There we go. Weld that on there whenever the time comes. It all fits pretty good. I like it in here. There's a little bit of a gap down in here, but that was kind of like that from the factory with the old panel. Other than that, it looks pretty good. Fits pretty good. What I want to do is scribe a line around it here, and then take and make my hole a little bit bigger. Then as well, I've got to drill holes for plug welds along in here and across the front. And then maybe I can burn it in. Well, I want to do some cleanup work underneath there, you know, sandblasting and whatnot, to get all the rust out, and then I should be able to burn it in. All right, I've pulled the patch panel out, and I'm ready to sandblast and clean that crap up. I put up welding blankets and plastic and stuff to try and keep the dirt down, as well as got that fan, and then as well my downdraft fan there should push everything out the bottom of the door here. Try and preserve as much sand as I can, but at the same time try and keep it out of the rest of the shop. Okay, I got it all sandblasted in there. It's looking pretty good. Went back as far as I could, but you know, I've got my limitations. Also trimmed up the patch panel. It's fitting in there really well. Punched the holes for those. I think the welds here along this edge will be an excellent opportunity for me to test out my spot welder. What I'm going to do is paint in there with some trim clad, and then everywhere that's going to be welded I've got weld through primer. So just going to wipe everything down with some acetone and shoot some color on it, just to kind of protect the metal, because I won't be able to get in there with seam. I'll try and get in there with seam sealer later, but I mean, some protection is better than none protection, right? So let's give that a try. Well, wouldn't it just make sense whenever you go to take the cap off the paint can and it rips the cap off and breaks off the little nozzle. Whatever. I've got some aluminum trim clad, so I'm going to use that. And ta-da! It matches the zinc weld through primer a bit better than the black wood, but whatever. It's looking all right. Let that dry, and then I should be able to weld this baby on there. Okay, I've got her clamped in here, and let's see if we can't glue it together. Yeah. Okay, just starting to tack her in here, and in some places the gap between the two panels is too tight, and so what I'm doing is tacking it in a few places, and then taking my air saw and going around that seam and opening it up just a little bit, and that makes for a much nicer area to weld to. This edge over here, whenever I cut this patch panel in, I didn't get this perfect, and that's fine because I want to use that same trick. Tack this over here and then cut out this edge with that air saw. That's a little trick that I learned from Jeff over at the James Freddy's channel. It's working out awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Okay, I got her welded in there. Looking pretty good. That tack and saw trick worked awesome along that edge there. My plug welds here look like hemorrhoids though, so don't look at those too closely. Nothing a little quality time with the grinder ain't gonna fix. Let's do that. Okay, I think I'm about done. I've got it welded in there and got the welds all ground down. They're looking pretty good. I'm really happy with it. It turned out great. I've still got to do the welds along this edge, but I might wait and do that after I do the driver's side. And then I just have to pull out the spot welder once. Take you around to the front side of it. We can take a look at where we're at there. Ow! Yeah, got them ground and looking good. Lined up these lines, these body lines pretty nicely, I think. Even lined up the edge over here pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with that. I've still got some pinholes that need to be filled. Let's see if we can see. Yeah, see there's the weld down in there. And you can see the pinhole there. But other than that, it looks really good. I'm really happy with it. I've still got to do these plug welds down here and reattach this piece, but I'm going to wait and do that later, probably whenever I do the whole floor or whatever. But I think I've earned myself a beer and maybe some time in the sunshine. I'm going to go do that. Cheers.